Welcome back. Former President Trump's so-called hush money trial will resume tomorrow morning with Michael Cohen returning to the stand for cross-examination. Trump's lawyers grilled him yesterday about his negative statements on TikTok regarding the former president. The prosecution also telling the judge Cohen will be their final witness. A New York appeals court rejecting Trump's bid to have the gag order lifted. Here's what he had to say about that ruling yesterday.
I've never seen anything like this gag order. You haven't either. And hopefully you will never again. It's never seen before. It applied to only defendants. You have a constitutional problem without ability to say anything about your own case. I am not allowed to talk about big portions of my case. And nothing like that's ever happened. They're allowed to talk, the other side, but I'm not.
Joining me now is former U.S. Attorney and Prosecutor Guy Lewis. Guy, thanks very much for being here. Assess this case for us. How do you see things?
So the Court of Appeals ruling, no big surprise there, Maria. It's a state court. No surprise. It is unconstitutional. The case that's going on over in state court, it is a sinking ship. I'm telling you, Maria, I've done this for almost 40 years. I've never seen a worse witness than Michael Cohen. Listen, as a prosecutor, and here's where I fault the office, Bragg and his people. Listen, I talked to a lot of witnesses that I decided in good faith, based on their background, their credibility, I just couldn't call and support as a federal prosecutor. So I declined to call them as a witness. And I don't see that kind of rationale, that kind of reasoning out of these prosecutors.
So you think it's falling apart because Michael Cohen is a convicted liar and his story will just not be believed. What about the jury? What are you expecting from the jury in the Manhattan case?
Great question, Maria. So the jury's going to be told a couple of things specifically. I mean, let's talk legal specifics. One, they're going to be taught that they're going to be told that to prove the case, the government's got to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. What is that? What is evidence? That's evidence, quote, so convincing that you, jurors, you, Maria, and me would be willing to rely and act upon it in the most important of our own affairs, end quote. How in God's world here can anyone look at Michael Cohen and say, yes, I would react without hesitation in issues about my family, my finances, my future, critical decisions like that.
Okay.
Anyone looks at and listens to his testimony, good Lord, you hesitate. It's reasonable doubt. He is walking reasonable doubt.
So you think there will be a hung jury then in this case?
I think at a minimum, I think, frankly, 12 jurors can look at this evidence and say across the board, not guilty.
Okay.
Maria, the government still, the state still has not linked Trump to any underlying violation. In other words, they do not have this evidence, a tape or a witness to say, hey, listen, we've got to suppress this. Yeah. We've got to cover this up because it's going to tube my election. Yep. I mean, that's what you've got to have here. Yeah. We don't have it. It should be not guilty.
So let me get your take on some other things, because several co-defendants in the Georgia election case filing notices of appeal yesterday in a bid to have Fulton County DA Fani Willis disqualified. Back in March, the Fulton County Superior Judge determined that Willis could remain on the case if special counsel Nathan Wade, her boyfriend, was removed. 4 defendants in the case, Rudy Giuliani, Mark Meadows, Kathy Latham, and Michael Roman, are now joining Trump and David Schaefer in challenging this ruling. Guy, what do you think?
Listen, I think these are good motions. I think the Court of Appeals is going to look at this differently than the lower court, the trial judge. Again, as a prosecutor, as the former U.S. attorney, I would never, ever participate in a case where I had the kind of conflict that she's admitted to, that the evidence has shown. It is just, I'm telling you, to me, it is a smoking gun conflict. The case, she should be recused from the case, and frankly, I think the case should be dismissed.
Hunter Biden, meanwhile, headed to trial next month on gun charges. The judge rejected his bid to delay it yesterday. Hunter's lawyers are arguing that it was necessary to have enough time to line up the witnesses and review the prosecution's evidence. That trial is set to begin on June 3rd. Are you expecting that to go as planned?
I am, Maria. I think you're going to see a huge contrast in the gun case and this Mickey Mouse case up in New York. The gun case is going to be about 2 days. It's going to be some documents. It's going to be open and shut. That is, if he doesn't decide just to plead guilty, frankly, which I wouldn't be surprised about that as well.
Joe?
Yeah, just to that point, I think in many ways the gun case being very pro forma, what was not pro forma was the information that we were able to discover in the midst of that botched plea agreement, where Judge Norica basically had to say, it appears as if this is broader than anything I've ever seen before. You put all that back in context as it relates to Hunter Biden. Do you think anything in the process of this trial that we're going to see on the 3rd reveals more information towards the other legal issues that implicate not just the son, but also potentially the father?
Boy, oh boy, that's a great question. And I think the short answer, Joe, is yes. You're going to see some evidence and some other information that comes out in this case that shows, just as we were hearing, double standards. One standard for Trump and his people, another standard for Biden and his son and his people.
Unbelievable.
It's pretty shocking as a former prosecutor. I've never seen anything like it.
I'm with Thomas Corbett Dillon this morning. Go ahead, Thomas.
Well, you know, I think your point about double standards is very interesting. And I think my question on this is, can you imagine if Eric Trump, for example, had even like a speeding ticket? They would be dragging him through all of the things. So how do you think these double standards, you know, I like what you said, it's probably going to be over in 2 days. But do you think that it could get as much coverage as the Trump trial is going to get?
Okay, so the short answer is absolutely not. The media will not cover in the same way, shape, or form the Biden either trial or plea. But to the point, your point, Tom, that's so well taken, these 12 women and men up in New York are going to go back there, look at this Trump case in New York, and they're going to say, good Lord, what's going on here? What is this about? We've got a stripper. We've got a serial liar. Those are our principal witnesses. I'm telling you, jurors, something is really, really wrong here. And there's where your not guilty verdict's going to come out of.
Guy, how's this all impacting the Supreme Court and its decision on presidential immunity? I'm wondering, I mean, so many people are calling this a charade. So many people are questioning the motives of the prosecution. That, do you think SCOTUS looks at this and says, you know, we can't have this going on regularly, that every time a new president is, you know, in place, that you've got the opposition trying to take him down? There's got to be presidential immunity so this kind of charade doesn't take place over and over again. Or is SCOTUS not focused on the current state of affairs?
Another great question. So, Maria, that, I think, is the sleeper issue of the summer. And the reason I say that is, you remember, I think it was Justice Alito who looked down and during that last argument says, hey, do you really think that Trump is being treated fairly here? Is there some unfairness going on here? And I'm telling you, again, the justices, like everybody else, we've made decisions based on right and wrong and fairness. What's happening here is unfair. Yeah, you got to wonder how that impacts the Supreme Court as it wrestles with the debate and decision on whether or not President Trump has presidential immunity. We'll know that in June, I guess. Guy, it's great to get your insights on all of this. Thanks very much.